Yeah, I told Margie to make sure that before she went, I don't know if she has more than.
Well, I seen on Channel 11 the other day, they were talking about it, and it looked like what they were doing was you were going to give blood, you know, like a pint of blood, and then they were taking a portion of it out and doing that test. And then if you tested positive, then they could use that donation to help people that had COVID. And if you tested negative, they just would use the blood like the normal. But Rocio said they just withdrew a small amount.
Where's she gonna do that?
Holly Minor,
Okay.
it's something Ida set up.
Oh, that,
It's,
okay.
It's just the antibodies, it's not, they're just making sure, just want, I guess, you get to know whether you've had it or not had it.
You go.
No, sir, I did not.
We ready?
Yep.
All
We
right.
can still go if y'all want to.
We're back in session. It's 9:45. Melinda is going to, she's provided us some documentation, so I'll turn it over to her to go over this with us.
Okay. Sorry for the delay.
No problem.
The first thing I wanted you to look at was, I did a comparison of the expenditures. And this is just, I mean, this is rough. This is still, but after yesterday, I went ahead and thought, you know, it might be good information for you to kind of see where we're at versus where we are right now in 2020, what was budgeted. So when you get down to the end, and this is all funds, we're just under $2,152 was our decrease overall. And I thought that would be helpful to you. And then I also ran, and this is rough, I mean, this is what our revenues, our total revenues are right now, current rate, as is. You know, I haven't made any changes yet, and I won't until I know what the certified totals are. But this is just based on current rate, what we have right now. And our total revenue, leaving it like it is $20,859,167. And that is also all funds. So if you take our current revenue, that $20,859,167, and subtract the total expenditures, $20,855,698, we're still up $3,469 overall, and that's all funds.
3,000 what?
$3,469. And just keeping in mind that on the expenses, that's current payroll, because I haven't changed that yet. And
that's
because we haven't
also,
looked at that.
that's also if everyone spends 100% of it.
Exactly. I mean, if they spend 100% of their budget.
And that's the current tax rate?
Current tax rate.
You know, we've come into this years before with a lot worse news.
Oh, way worse.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is good news.
And
And I think it's due to, in part, like y'all said the other day, you know, the elected officials and department heads were very frugal in doing their budgets for 2021. So, and you can really see that, especially on the comparison.
Did you give us a printout of the revenue, or you just?
No, I didn't give you a printout of the
Okay.
revenue. I just did a rough,
Okay,
because I couldn't find my report.
okay, that's fine.
And
So,
you did,
imagine
Mario,
that.
It was 20,859,167, and if you subtract that other, we're in the black by 3,469.
Yes, sir, I was making sure I hadn't lost
I
it.
mean,
Okay.
I wrote it down, but.
and that's if we spend 100%. So,
And you know,
and it's rough.
looking at that, we're not, you know, gonna spend we never spend 100%, but this year we got a balance because like I said, we've maintained a pretty equal steadying point, so we're not gonna have lots of funds in payroll that we usually have. But then in the other parts, such as the conference, seminars, dues, things like that, we're gonna be way ahead because no one's been using any of that fund. So,
I mean, there are still some expenses for y'all to consider, but I thought this would kind of give you
yeah,
you'd have a good idea moving forward on what you all might want to do with those.
all righty.
Okay, and if you're ready, the next handout I gave you was the projected salaries. The judge had asked Ida and I to calculate 2.5% and 5%. And we did do that. So on the first page, those salaries are current salaries, what they are right now. And you can see the longevity's been calculated, the FICA, retirement insurance, and then there's a total there. Now we are showing you on this front page just the $6,950,148.44 down in the corner in blue. That's right now that total is just salaries without the longevity, retirement, and insurance.
For all county employees.
For all departments. Okay, we just kind of wanted to show you that figure, what it is. And then,
You said it's less longevity.
yeah, and it shows you, like up at the top, it says not in totals, and it's talking about the ones that we've highlighted in yellow. But just to give you an idea, without those, that's what it is,
Okay.
just the salaries.
Without those.
Okay.
Okay.
And then on your second page,
Okay. That's, I'm sorry.
no, you go ahead.
That, now that's, like on mine, on this first page, that calculation, me and Rocio.
Mhm.
Okay, all right,
Yes, sir.
that's, all right. Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Yes, and just to let you know, the retirement rate, and I think Ida probably went over that with y'all when she was
Yeah.
talking about that we left the retirement rate at our current rate, which is higher, due to their suggestion. So that is at the higher rate. And you're gonna see the difference in a minute when we get to the second page where we've calculated the 2.5% and 5% without FICA on all the salaries. And then we've also calculated it with FICA also. I'll let y'all look at those for just a minute until you. And the reason we're doing that is just to show you what the salary amount is without those benefits included at the moment. And I guess I'll mention the one that's in yellow, that's the elections, and those aren't included either. They're not included either, because there won't be any.
Election.
If she has anything, it's usually very minimal, but she usually doesn't have anything on an off election year. But it's calculating it because of what is in there right now. Then if you go down to the very, very bottom, and I apologize for the tininess, I tried to make it bigger and it went crazy. So, but down at the very, very bottom on the second page to the right, the amount is $9,725,120.42. That amount is all the salaries calculated at 5%, with FICA, the longevity, retirement, and insurance, with all the benefits, that's what our number would be. With a 5% raise.
And you don't have what the current is on that?
Net out, so.
Yeah, I mean, you net out the
No.
5%, but, okay.
Good.
I mean, we can,
Well, no, I just,
but just to let you know that this is less than last year, than what we budgeted current year.
Judge, on the last row in the green, that's gonna be your differences on a 2%, the 21.
Yeah.
That's the difference from doing a 2% from last year to this year, and then same as the 5%.
okay,
Yeah.
all right,
And then the same thing on the 2.5.
yeah.
Without, I mean, just to show you what that was without FICA.
Okay. Any questions? All right, just to sort of, yeah, what do we need to do?
Well, if you all want to consider the things that, are still, you were still thinking about, if we want to go over those, because then I can have a little more time to, insert those into the budget. And,
Let me talk about that real quick,
Okay.
just time frame wise. If we do that this morning, and then we need to leave that with you, and give you time to do your calculations. And then once you get those calculations, then really we need to wait until we get the appraisal district numbers. There's not a lot we can do in between. Okay. Why don't we do that, then why don't we go back through the things that we talked about yesterday? And I know Karen hadn't got back to me, so we might just plug in a figure there and see where it's at, just so she'll have time to calculate. And so going back to that on the JP3, well, on the JP3 sign, what y'all's, I'm thinking that we ought to put at least maybe calculated at 10,000. I don't think it'll be like 7,500.
I think 7,500 would be more than enough to do it, really, probably a little less, but to be safe. I think that'd be safe, what do y'all think? That should put a pretty nice sign up.
Okay, let's calculate it then at seven, or let's give Melinda 7,500 plug in, and so,
that's on her side.
and I don't know, I mean, you know, in the past, I don't know how quick they could do the sign, and I don't know what the judge's budget looks like, but, you know, that may be something she could do this year.
Well, I think she may.
And
You can look at it.
if she did that, then of course that would help next
We
year's
need to
bottom
check her
line.
budget and see if she may be able to.
Maybe when she calls you, you can ask her that.
Okay.
And then
She's-
you can always come back and take this out and put it in.
And she's got 10,690. Are y'all looking at her building and grounds, or are you just looking at,
I'm just thinking overall, but
Wherever we could get some money from.
how much does she have in training? Or conference, simulation, do?
she still has 4,000. She still has 4,000 there,
That
so.
would be that one.
So I'm thinking,
That's half of it.
why don't,
She's got a little under 10 in Fund 11, which is permanent improvements.
I don't know if she's got any other projects in mind for this year. Probably need to ask her and see before.
okay, let's,
They have to take it out.
let's put 7,500 and have Melinda figure that. But when we adjourn, I'll call and visit with her. I'll just call and ask her if she's heard from the lady. And then I'll ask her to go on the total with her conference seminars and dues. I don't know when they have, I think they have their conferences though in the spring or summer. And so if that's the case, they're probably not gonna have them. And so, she might be able to do it this year.
I hope so.
Okay, and then going back down our list, on Hermie and Patricia. Of course, we would include them in the calculations of the raises with everyone. But what are y'all's feelings on raising them instead?
On the step raise,
She's asking for that they all be, or that both of them be raised a step in the pay group and then plus a 5% raise.
well, I don't see how we could do that for her employees and not do it for everybody else. So I would be opposed to that.
Okay. So we'll, like I say, they'll be included in the consideration just like everybody
Yes.
else, but no on the step raise.
Mario, you guys,
Well, the figures she gave us this morning, they're in there already, because they're employees, so,
Well, the only thing is she's asking technically that they go up a step and then get another raise.
But that's what I'm saying,
Okay.
I agree with them, what we do for them, we gotta do for others, but
Okay.
that other raise is already included in that number she gave us this morning.
Okay, so I'm just putting no step, and that way they'll be considered for the other raise just like everyone else.
Maybe on that other one.
Okay. On the sheriff, he's asking for an additional patrol deputy at a cost of, now I'm assuming this is just the salary? Is that correct? The
Yeah,
34,000?
I think this is, I don't think it includes the benefits.
No.
799.14, okay.
No.
And
It's just
so-
the salary.
Well, you know, Judge, as crazy as everything's getting, you know, I don't see why we couldn't put another deputy out there, you know. I don't listen to the scatter, but I know there's times we don't have enough people out there. And, I think it's good money invested
Yeah.
on the safety of the public. To do that, I wouldn't have a problem with that, Judge.
Okay, then if you'll figure that,
That's my opinion.
okay, anybody else,
no, I agree. I think if he's asking for it, he needs it.
not only the public safety, but the safety of our employees, you know, because the county's so
Well,
large.
Judge, if I may,
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to lots of sheriffs around and lots of chiefs.
I heard to hire someone in June of next year, and so that employee would be in place for, 6 months in the budget. And then the other is to allow her to hire someone in January. I did speak with Deborah yesterday. Of course, she would like the help, you know, just with her duties, so she would like to have the person in January. But she also said that her budget year for that position is state year. And so it starts September 1st and it ends in August. So if we did hire someone in June, they would be there for the end of the budget year and the beginning of the new budget year, which is, you know, lots of times when you're learning those positions, that's the critical deal, because you have to know how to close out the current year and start the new year. So either way, she was for it, hiring her in the new position, but I don't think it really, if we do it in June of next year or in January, it doesn't matter to her.
You'd be good with that?
Yeah.
Then I'd propose that's what we do,
Okay, you think the full year or the half year?
the half year.
Okay,
if Deborah can live with that, I would.
Okay, then Melinda, if you would figure that at that 9,292.68, right? Okay, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not just telling you, I'm just quoting what I got wrote down here. On the Holly Liner Center, on Benny's vehicle, what we've decided to do is to allow him to purchase, maybe from another department, a vehicle that may not be at the end of the mileage that we usually use, and allow him $15,000 to buy a pickup from someone.
That's what we discussed, and that's something the sheriff might kind of watch for and find a truck that may be a little before time to trade, that we've allowed him $15,000, that maybe that would work,
Yeah.
and get him something a little
I
better.
wouldn't take none of the three I got right now, but the ones that I'm fixing to replace, or maybe one.
Well, of course, this won't take place till January, so
Yes, sir.
maybe when you get ready to trade next year, instead of doing your 2 or 3, you might do that 4th one.
Okay.
And if it's good enough, and get a quote from someone on what they would give you for trade value, and then allow Benny to give you.
Something that has a little less miles than you'd normally trade.
Pull it off just a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
Now,
So,
that amount, I did go ahead because y'all had me change that. So I did go ahead and include that
okay,
in those figures I gave.
Okay.
so
I
15,000.
added that to the.
The last time he bought one from, I guess from you, David, and he paid like 4,500. So, like I said, the only way I guess you can calculate the value of that is to approach like Averett or somebody you're gonna deal with and say, give me a trade.
Trade-in value
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. All right, and then, on precinct 4, on 70,000, I had that penciled because Jimmy had already put that in the budget.
Yeah, it's in the
It's in
budget.
the
so-
budget.
And so, we had that in there. And then the last thing I had, like I said this morning, when the sergeant came and asked for the 16-hour position, at a yearly rate of $12,430.08. What y'all's feelings on that?
I'm more for it.
Probably wait a year on that. No. Where you at on that?
You know, we talked about, you know, it's kind of a different year, so I just,
Okay. And I'll tell you that, you know, and this will give them a year to see if DPS will do anything in the legislature. We can look at it again next year.
yeah, we can follow this recipe. They, you know, like I said, they can come up with something.
Yeah, okay. All right, and that's all I have on my sheet, Melinda. Do you have anything else?
Well, that's the new request, so let me look real quick.
I guess while she's looking at that, I guess let me ask you what y'all think about the air conditioning and the plumbing issues at the Justice Center. Do you think we need to add some funds to that building or? You know, it would help us if we had a little better calculation, number one, how many other air conditioning units are there of that same age that's up there? And the expense of converting those commodes and how many there are, you know. And of course, I would be for converting them through attrition. I mean, we'd leave the ones that are working until they actually
Place them
quit.
as they go out.
Yeah. And,
I don't have any idea how many units are up there. And I don't know if anybody does.
Carla, you wouldn't have that, would you?
What was the question?
How many air conditioning units are at the Justice Center?
There's 3 in the assembly room. 3 in my office. 3 across the hall,
When you say across the hall, in the
to the
district court? Yeah.
judges areas.
And then Wally had 3.
And then Wally had 3, and I would think 2 or 3 down at the other end. I don't know about the other end.
And if them are all 5-ton units, you're talking about 15.
15 units. Now, we can take the 3 off because
Yeah.
once we do this on Monday, Wally's will be done.
And,
so-
you know, I don't think like the assembly room, we leave that one pretty, not running unless we have juries or meetings and things. So I don't think they get as much wear and tear on them.
So those 3 will probably have a little longer
Right.
life than the other.
Yeah.
What would you think if we maybe put the money in there to replace, I mean, some of them's gonna run for a while.
Yeah,
So what if we put the money in there to replace another 3 or 4 units?
yeah. Well, I'm thinking that would leave us 9, that we think are the same age that haven't.
See, I don't have, every time they come on mine, they tell me the filters need changing. And then one time it was an electrical problem. And so they called, Cisco over there, and something had shorted out to it. But it wasn't ever the air conditioner unit as it was that. But if we could get somebody to change the filters, I think that'd help a whole lot.
Oh, yeah, that's what Wally was talking to us about the other day also.
So how much money would you think we should put in there for that? And of course, the plumbing, we have no idea.
Yeah, well, like I said, the turnkey, looks like the turnkey on those units that Caprock is pricing for Wally is about 9,000. And so.
9 times 15 is 135,000.
If we did 4, if we budgeted for 4, that'd be 3,600.
And we may not even have to do them, we may not have to even do, but, just.
Well, actually, I would think, as old as those units are, if we budget the money for them, we might really consider.
Replacing
That's
them.
what I do, because every year they get higher and higher.
Because number one, if we replace them all in the same year, then in hopefully 10 or 12 years down the line, they'll have to replace them all again.
Well, I guess you could,
What we've tried to do at the sheriff's office, because we had so many, is we tried to replace 2 or 3 a year.
yeah,
And that way, you never got zapped for more than 3 at a time.
well, I guess we could fix the ones we're working on now, and go into next year, and if they give trouble, replace them. If we make it through the year, then pick out the ones that we think are the worst.
Why don't we do this, I'll throw this out here, why don't we plan on replacing 3 next year and allot $30,000 to replace them? And that way, we would have a budget. How much is in that permanent improvement fund for that? Go ahead.
The original budget in the Justice Center was $5,000. I mean, that's what it is right now. And then y'all had, put 25,000. You upped it, 20,000.
For next year's budget. we-
But I don't know what you were planning on, for next year.
Well, that's,
But I don't know what all you were planning on,
I think that was for the air conditioning.
just for the air conditioning.
We've already done quite a bit of work over there this year, did some painting improvements and the work over the garage doors and things like that, over there, so it's probably for air conditioning.
Okay. Y'all wanna leave that at 25 and we'll just go with what we've got, or you wanna raise it to 30?
Because if you said they were how much? You said they were how much?
Well, turnkey on this, about $9,000.
I'd say we need, and then leave us a little bit of room in case we have something else come
Mario, you're awful quiet. Or either that or I can't hear you through that thing.
I'm just listening.
Well, I want to hear from you.
So I'm gonna change that to 30,000
No,
for,
definitely, definitely with the money is what we're talking about. Y'all are right.
Well, the good thing about it is we had already addressed some of it, so the calculations she gave us today aren't gonna change that much, just $5,000 rather than a $30,000 deal,
Yeah.
so.
because I had already changed it
So,
in those figures I gave y'all.
I think we're good on that. Like I said, the plumbing, we realize may be an issue, but without the information we need, there's not a whole lot we can do with that.
Melinda, on our projections for revenue, you said you used the current tax rate. So did you use the current value or the value that's already come out by the appraisal?
No, it's just the current.
So see, that's gonna go up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I didn't want to change anything yet because I want to see what they really are.
So, yeah, so see, that revenue will go up because, I know what I've seen in Petersburg, yeah, it's gone up pretty good. So the values have gone up, so that means the base has gone up so that, but it affected our effective tax rate. So that'll be a plus. I was hoping you'd say that for me.
And then, like I said, always bear in mind that those calculations she gave us, if everyone spends all the budget.
Yeah,
Okay, Carl, I'm sorry, I was thinking about air conditioners when you were talking about telephones. So
I'm sorry.
tell us about the telephone. deal
Well,
again.
we had talked about when our contract with, came up that everybody was interested in, checking on a new phone system. And I'm sorry, with COVID, that dropped. I mean, that I completely dropped the ball on that. And I talked to David about it and I said, I can get them to, hustle around, but I think it'll be, quite a bit. I mean, I would say 100,000 to replace all the phones and with all the departments and everything. And, so, David and I talked, he said, well, let's just wait till next year. And so, but when we extended that contract, they just kept us at the same rate. And so I know probably that's, after 10 years, our rate is gonna go up. So I think we probably need to budget for the,
You know that, what page?
I think it's on page 9. Isn't it 413? Yes, 413. And we left it at 35.
We left it at the same that it was, so, so far this year, well, I'm assuming this year is calculated based on what we've been paying.
right, what we've been, because, that contract, it's pretty well
Those
set.
bills went up. I mean, those bills went up anyway.
Yeah.
When they changed companies.
Well, and a lot of the reason they went up was because of the internet. Because we bumped up our internet, if y'all remember me coming back. We bumped it up.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the reason we bumped it up was also we needed the speed in the courthouses. But the other reason was we were gonna go to voice over IP, which is phones that use the internet to connect. And so that's all gonna be, we're gonna keep the same internet and all that, but like Melinda said, it bumped up, but we also probably need to bump it up a little more.
What,
And my little more is probably 10 to 15,000.
I mean, because it may go over this year.
well, in 18, it was 42,000. And then in 19, it was 32,000.
Well, that's because we kept, did it go down?
Let me look at it.
We added Andrew and them changed out their phone system. That might have been the 42.
I mean, like I say, our system now needs,
Just
lost
improvement,
connection,
but
hold
I
on.
think it's something we can survive with for another
Right.
year.
I know we're on just year contracts, so all the contracts started in February, so they're all gonna expire in February of 2021. So in 2021, all the contracts are expiring, so we're going into new contracts.
Oh, but the internet contract, it was a 3-year contract, wasn't it?
I thought they were all one-year contracts.
They're all just 1 year card.
Okay.
These are,
Okay,
So everything will expire and we'll have to go into new contracts in
Okay.
2021.
So you think about 10,000 more?
I would say probably 15, just, if it's, don't take it out of my budget, but if you can find 15.
So 50,000?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's gonna about the.
Yeah, I mean, and that may be paying it too much, but
Would that
Hope
be,
it is.
just,
Are you 50 more?
I'm trying to get it to work.
You know, there's something else we gotta consider though, and I don't, you know, but like the air conditioning units that we're gonna buy for this year, I would assume those have some type of elevated expense in them because of what's going on. And so, they may not be that same price next year.
yeah, like Kenny said, that they tell you if you buy in the wintertime, yeah.
Yeah,
But you know, just right now, the manufacturing of them and getting them here, the shipping of them and all that is gonna be elevated because of what we're dealing with. But like I said, of course, I know I hadn't been in the sheriff's office for a couple of years, but you know, when we were buying them for out there, and most of those were 5 or 10 ton units, and we were paying about 68 or 6,900 apiece.
In 2018 is when adult probation was added, their new phone system, and that was $8,200.
Okay,
That's why that.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of what I thought.
It was $8,200 to add them. And this year, so far, I mean, this year we've done 29,009.
I think we need to wait and price them after we haven't had 11 over 100-degree days
Yeah.
in a row. And these guys are worked to death and got more work than they could do.
Well, you know, the thing about it is if we put the 30,000 in and they fall, then we can just replace the extra one. So, cause we're gonna have to replace 9 anyway. Cause really the way they're used, how long is the justice in there?
13 years.
13 years.
But that was when we moved in, 13 years ago.
Yeah, so you figure those units maybe 14 years old, so
That's about the life of
pretty good
them.
life on it, yeah. All right,
I mean, whatever y'all wanna do, if you wanna do.
I want to
I
do
mean-
50. Well, I'll do 50.
Yeah, cause I'm estimating 45 if there's no surprises, but there might be a surprise. So we're gonna do 50 on the phone.
In lieu of the 35, we're putting 50.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a big increase. I hope we don't have to use that much.
Yeah. All right, any other things that you know about Melinda as far as anything else we need to go back and look at?
Yeah, there's just one, I mean, I was almost through them. These are okay. I think the only thing I was gonna go ahead and see if y'all wanted to do was, I mean, I know I can't change all of it right now, but, shoot, lost it. Hold on, I lost my finger. Maybe. Is, Fund 18. And I kind of skipped over that.
What page is that?
It's on page 58. But I think we can go ahead and do some of the revenue and, the expense.
58, you said?
Yes, sir.
Oh, the road and bridge?
Yeah. Because there is some revenue that's, like page 58, the revenue under motor vehicle registration, 3212.
What is it, 3212?
Yes. Page 58?
58?
Fund 18?
Not sure.
There should be a road and bridge revenue and then
Oh, wait a minute, I think I got it marked wrong. I think this is probably it. Okay.
And this is the motor vehicle registration. And these are the, I mean, we never know what they're gonna be, but the receipts that come in.
the year to date, is that, now this is on September, year.
I mean, we do it all year, but, let me go back.
Well, I just noticed that year to date's 362, and that's higher than we ever had before.
That's what it's been this year. That's all this year.
And like, just over 6 months.
No, I mean, we get those weekly. Those are receipted weekly by Ida's office. They come in from the tax office. Right.
I think you need to be on.
Do you think we need to add a little?
You don't put it on.
well-
Just weeds and stuff.
Let me look at it and see.
Yeah. Marked wrong.
It looks like it. Do we only get that part of the year, Ida? Yep, we do.
Yeah.
We only get it through April.
Okay.
So
So
that's
the
probably,
365 is good?
that may be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then the other one is the, I don't remember what he said that one was. We asked him last year. Also comes in from. It looks like we collected that through July.
Which one's that one, Linda?
It's the next one, the
The motor vehicle
3219.
special add-on.
Yep. Now that one we'll collect all year, it looks like,
Okay.
so it goes through the end of the year.
And it looks like we budgeted about right compared to what we got so far.
Okay.
All right, anything else you know of?
The expense. Also the interest, do y'all wanna leave the interest at 4,500 on the front?
That looks about right. I mean, so far.
I mean, I just left it the same.
2351, so.
And then miscellaneous refunds and revenue if we get anything,
Yeah.
just let those.
And one year we got 58,000 in that. And then it went from 58,000.
Let me see what that
to
was.
50,000.
I can tell you real quick. See, it doesn't happen very often, but every now and then. We get a surprise. We just don't count on them. Oh, we had 4 auctions in
Okay.
2018,
Okay.
and one of those was 24,000. So, I mean, that was what it was all the auctions.
Then we need to go to the next page. which is
Yes. The expense for the road and bridge,
The noxious weed control,
yeah, that's where the people,
12,000. You think that's good?
now that's, I mean, that's, what do y'all think? They've done,
Year to date is 9,068.
Well, they won't be doing as much, but
Now, after September, October, there won't be much.
probably not. Bad figure.
All right, let's just leave it there. And then the culverts and road materials, we got 125 budgeted. So far, y'all got a next, somebody returned the culprit or something, because we have a
Look at that.
3220 extra.
Reimbursement.
Yeah, I bet, I'm pretty sure that is.
Well, you know, if we're not gonna use that amount of money, then we don't need to put that amount of money. Cause that should help our bottom line on the other side.
That was Tierra,
If we're gonna use it, that's fine, but we're not.
We haven't
Algodon,
been
Oil.
using anything like
They must
that.
have given y'all a credit for something.
Even in 18 was our, you know, we spent
Yeah, 'cause that
almost
was a
67. But then in
Is that the
19,
country?
we didn't even spend 20.
I know Jimmy's gonna get some, aren't you gonna get this out of the?
It was
Yeah,
a
I'm gonna
receipt
get,
for $3,220.
20,000.
That's,
Do y'all know
so
what that
that'll
is?
come out,
What's that?
but.
Tierra de
125 in there.
Algodon, Oil.
I don't have any idea. I don't remember that business with anybody.
Does it
Sierra?
have any, description on it?
Well, that was the description.
Can use all that.
But here's the deal, we got 100,
Don't say
we got
we're-
128
Have to
for
look
this
at the
year.
receipt.
And, you know, so I would think if you
You have a
know
receipt
you're gonna need them,
Uh-huh.
why not buy it out this year and maybe we could reduce next year?
What's that revenue bill sheet?
Or like I say, I don't know nothing
Not
about
got it
it.
all on here.
Just talk about the material.
That's for
The material.
asphalt and gravel.
Keep getting higher and higher.
Well, you know,
Gravel's up to $35,
$35 a ton.
Yeah.
and that's us going to get it.
So I would think in the climate that we're in right now and the instability of the pricing, why don't we just leave it the same? Or maybe, what about it?
Okay.
I'd go 100. I think that's plenty of cushion
Okay.
compared to what we've been doing and then some.
Because what we're talking about right now is 200, what is it, Jeff?
Well, actually, right now, we got 128,000.
About 228,000 that we're talking about, having access to.
Yes,
128 this
Yes.
year, but he's gonna get some, I think.
yes.
Carl's gonna get some.
So we're gonna change that to 100,000.
Yeah, that should be plenty.
The culverts and road materials.
200,000?
Yes, instead of the 125.
No, I forget about
You
access.
think, are you all right with that?
That'll pay for a phone.
Yes, it will.
Yeah, help us.
And then a little bit.
Well, the phone and the 5,000 for
Yes.
the air conditioning, so.
And then 5,000 towards Turkey Helper,
Yeah,
Deborah's.
yeah. Okay.
And really,
Okay.
Judge, talking seriously on, those big items that we put in this budget, you know, are we really gonna spend all that money? If not, we can go back and adjust it a little bit. See, you know, if we're not gonna spend the 90,000 or whatever we put in, if we're gonna be 75, still go get 25 of that. Put it back in the black, you know.
That she's running out.
Are you thinking we ought to reduce this a little more?
No, anything else that we've talked about, there's other
Anything
things.
in mind in particular you're thinking about?
Well, some of the other, building and grounds, funds that we've done, permanent improvements funds that we've put. We're not gonna go and spend that money, cause we hardly ever do. Now, this year we've done a better job, but last year we put all that cement, that was good. But in years we put the money in there, we didn't.
Oh, I agree with you, we've done that year after year, put money in there.
Which is helps our reserves, but still, you know, we're trying to get to a certain point, we might have to go back and adjust it. I can't think in my mind of, there's probably a couple in there that, budgets that, pretty big like that. Permanent improvements,
I mean, we can go back and
capital.
look at the, permanent improvement and the courthouse and the justice center.
I mean,
Their
we-
departments.
We can go back and look at it, and there may be something we
And
could
if they're not,
adjust.
we'll leave it like
You
it
just
is.
hate to get too short, because something may
Yeah.
come up you don't know about.
Just,
But it's like Judge said, if we get short on paper, it's only because we're spending 100% of what we
Yeah.
budgeted, so, you know.
Now, the other page, the next page, on the transfers in,
this,
I don't have anything marked on that, but we leave those the same?
well,
What do we do on that?
I get those amounts from their budgets, so I can give y'all those, what those are now.
Okay.
So
Can I
on,
brief you on that, Judge?
well, before we go there, can I go back to page 59, where it says Turks participation?
You know,
Cheers for this.
I need to let y'all know what that is, because that's when we have to pay that percentage back to the city for that Turks. And so that's why I left that at $10, because it's from the road and bridge. It's just that little amount, and I don't know what it's gonna be. I mean, it might be more than that, but it hasn't been. It's been like 98 cents the last 2 times we paid it. So just letting you know what that is.
We'll cut that back.
Harold and I are actually on that board.
But I don't know, I never know what it's gonna be, so.
it's $2 year to date.
It won't be much.
That's better.
Yeah.
Put $2.
Put that at 4. No, I'm just kidding.
So you still got your book we had for that? I don't know why we haven't had it.
Well, I know,
COVID.
we didn't even have one before then.
Hey, before we go to that next page, let's talk about him.
That's good, we get to.
That's good.
Okay. And then like I was saying, on the next page, I didn't show any marks on it. I don't know if we covered it or not.
Like I was saying, that comes from, the portion that, goes into the precincts. And I calculate that after what other revenues,
Okay.
are gonna subsidize their budget.
Okay.
And that's what that dollar amount is. So I can give those to you.
Are they the same?
No,
Okay. All right.
no, they're not. They're not the same.
All right.
They are for his will be, the transfer will be for $683,369. Precinct 2's will be for $643,174. Actually, Kenny's did stay the same, precinct 3,
595,
702.
What did you say number 2 was, I'm sorry?
$643,174. And then precinct 3 stayed the same,
550.
595,
Oh, 5, okay.
702. And then precinct 4's will be $557,500. And that brings the total to $2,479,745.
And when you did all the signing on the, I guess that may be what's throwing me off on some of these. Usually I have all the writing on them, and some of them I wrote signing, and some of them I didn't write.
Okay, Judge, I said I wanted to kind of brief you on that. I
Okay.
gave you the financial report that I'm gonna be doing on Monday, that ends June 30th, okay?
All right.
Okay, so, but I'd like to go back to Fund 18,
Where's,
in the revenue and expenditures, and the only reason I'm gonna say this is because I want the court to follow where I'm going with this. The,
On 58, 59, Judge.
yes, sir.
Only on page 6.
Page 60 is the total for precincts.
Okay.
Where I'm going with this, Judge, is the appraisal district collects the ad valorem for us. They send me a check, and then it's revenued into the funds that are appropriated in the budget book, like we put in so much for general bank account, the precincts, and now we have the note, okay?
okay.
With that said, it all goes into Fund 18, and what this does is Melinda is moving the budgeted amount into the precincts,
Okay.
okay? And so that's where basically what she's doing is when she's doing the transfer to the precinct, she's covering their budget, okay? So on the financial report, we just, in July, the first AP run, Melinda added 300,000, because remember, I just said we fund that by Fund 18. You notice that Fund 18 on here is 1,462,000? Okay, next month, you'll see the decrease in that, and you're gonna see the increase in the precincts to cover the rest of their budget for this year.
I
Okay?
mean, I do those payments one in February, and then I do the other one in July.
Because of
I'll
how
split
ad
it.
valorem's coming in.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, with that said, as of right now, their fund balances, right now, cash balances is 600,000, in precinct 1, 611,218.16. Now, that is the reserve after the end of the year, if and Harold spends all his budget, okay? Your reserve, that is your reserve.
How much
Okay.
you say again, Sue?
6,218,16.
We were just talking about that's right.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's the cash balance.
618?
611,218.16. And then precinct 2 is 524,935.29. Precinct 3 is 844,259.62.
Say that again, Ada.
Yes, 844,259.62. Precinct 4 is 333,658.69. Now, that's what we have currently as cash balance as of now. So Melinda is saying that on this budget, she's going to move those amounts she just read off to cover their budgets. But I just wanted the court to be aware of your fund balances,
Okay,
okay?
all right.
We give that to the judge.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right.
And as of right now, after we moved that in July, that you added 300 to all your budget, there's $290,000, 472.14 in Fund 18. That's cash balance. So unless y'all have some expenditures, you got a cash balance in Fund 18.
All right.
That's it, Judge.
Any questions, Ada, on that?
No, thank you.
All right. Did you have any pages that we need to go back to, Melinda? Or we're gonna go back to the,
Well, if
Fund
y'all are,
11?
if y'all are gonna revisit, I mean, you mentioned also the Justice Center Department and the Courthouse Department.
No,
Because I
Fund
think
11.
those were y'all made some changes in those.
About the big expenditures that we're about to look at.
So like, for the courthouse, it's 510,
What page is that?
page 26. Well, now that I'm looking at it, it looks like we left that one.
What's your comment?
Total, it's $153,065. The only thing that was a little different, it's because of the contract with Flores Janitorial. It went up. This year's 152,039, and it's changing to 153,465.
And that's on
What page you say?
Page 26. But under janitorial services,
You want 4,000?
no. On janitorial services, number 4475, That's the contract we have with Flores
Oh, okay.
Janitorial.
58,465.
And this year it was 57,039. Well, it's been amended. It's actually 57,871,
Okay.
and it's gonna be 58,465 for the
For
new.
the next year.
So those are pretty well set. And then the building and grounds, that includes the lawn care, the trees, all that.
Now, that's
Any
in
flood
Fund 11.
spraying.
That's in Fund 11.
No, it's in the courthouse.
Thank you.
The
Oh,
bud
okay.
spraying and all of that.
Okay.
I mean, there's other stuff that are in
The
building.
45,000.
Yeah, we left that. And then if you wanna look at the courthouse,
We raised the annex on building and ground about 10,000. On page 27.
yes,
Okay.
this is for across the street.
And then the Justice Center is on page 28.
Yes,
It looks like he does everything the same.
yeah, the only thing that changed there again is the janitorial service.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I have a question, just on the annex, what are y'all planning on doing over there for that 30, I mean, sometimes I like to make notes
Well,
so we know what we're doing
We
over
had
there.
talked about trying to redo some work on the windows. You remember, we talked about the wood around all the windows is rotting,
Yeah,
and we need to address that somehow. I hadn't looked at them just real recently, but I can tell you they're deteriorating. And,
Something else we probably need to look at is putting a barrier around that telephone
Yeah.
box over there.
which one, Judge?
There's a phone box behind adult probation
Okay.
that controls Roland, adult probation, and Carl Joe and them.
Uh-huh.
And what happens lots of times is somebody will back into it, and when they do, it just falls over. Well, then, Roland and them don't have phone service.
Has that happened?
Yes,
Mhm.
a lot.
Yeah.
Because
Really?
especially when
Yeah.
probationers are reporting,
Yeah.
sometimes they think they do it intentionally.
Well,
They'll
And
back
so-
up and because they're mad and they,
I would think if we could, like the, Atlas does, they put a.
Yeah.
Four-sided.
pipe barrier.
Yeah, barrier there, that would alleviate them backing into that box, whether it's accidental or intentional.
Can we do that, or do we have to have them do it, or the phone company, or, I mean,
that's what Roland kept asking me. He said, why aren't they doing it? And why aren't they putting that around there?
I think we ought to ask them about it.
And,
They might
I
do
think
it.
Roland might have asked them why they weren't, but I don't know.
I'll ask him and see what he
Okay,
found
check and
out.
see if he has.
Of course, if they can do it, that's even better, but
Yeah.
if they won't do it, then we need to do something.
That's their equipment, look like it.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
need to do it.
Of course, when it gets backed over, then they come back out and have to service it.
Yeah, and if they, we had to pay it.
So,
Maybe job security for them.
Yeah.
but, anyway, we need to try to alleviate that,
Yes.
because I know, I don't call Roland a bunch, but lots of times when I try to call him, there's no answer, and that's part of the reason. Let's see, all right, anything else? Now, that was the annex and then the windows. We talked about doing some of that. Okay. Did I dream it, or did somebody talk about a while ago going back and looking at Fund 11?
Mhm.
Okay.
But the Justice Center's the next one,
Oh, on that.
512.
Okay.
And it looks like y'all, I mean, you said we left that,
Yeah,
other
we
than the
left that on the same.
janitorial, y'all left that the same.
Okay. And then Annex 3 is
Porches
porches, right?
building.
Okay.
And then Fund 11,
What page?
It is on page 49, looks like. No, I'm sorry, 48.
48?
Uh-huh.
no, you were right, 49.
49, okay. actually mine's on 50.
Yes, you're right. The expenses.
Okay. All right, building and grounds, that first one I'm assuming is this building,
The courthouse and
juvenile.
juvenile.
Okay, we left that at 110. Yes, like I say, we need, some work done, but, you know, we have plenty, right now, we have plenty of money in this year's.
Now, this is where y'all had also talked about this sidewalk.
And the paving over here.
If-
That'll come out of this year's.
Yeah.
Well, if we do that,
Yeah.
it'll come out of this year.
But I would anticipate that not being, what, more than 30 or 40,000?
I'm hoping it's not over 40. I say he's getting a proposal together now, but we talked about it in the past, but it's been a good while back after we did this other, and so he's getting, and I think it's gonna be somewhere around 40.
You know, the only thing, with this building though, number one, due to the age of the building, but then lots of the things that we have here are high maintenance stuff, you know, the elevator, the air conditioning, you know. So, like I said, I hate to cut us back too much on that because,
Well, you know, we spent last year on this, just this front part of the parking lot, like 82,000.
Yeah.
So it is expensive, but it was well spent. We
Yeah.
don't have people tripping and falling.
you know, but the problem is if we don't upkeep or maintenance and do things as we go along, we're gonna end up in the same boat as our air conditioning situation over there where everything's gonna fall apart at one time. And, so, I would say on that one, let's leave that one the same.
Now, if y'all do pay for the
The road out there.
road over there, that'll leave you 73,535 next year. I mean, they don't need it till next year, so just to let you know, that's what you'd have after that.
Well, I think if we could do some of the things we're talking about this year.
You'll be okay.
Then we would be all right. So, all right, then, Annex 1, we added, it was at 9,000, we raised that to 37,500.
Mhm.
And like I said, we have some specific things we want to do there, so I think that was good. The law enforcement center,